Disclaimer. Remember, the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the speakers and do not reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Hey,
Hey!
how are you doing today?
Doing well. Excited about another episode.
And so we're talking about a fun topic today. We're talking about married at first sight. And in case some of you out there aren't familiar with married at first sight is a reality dating or marriage show. It's more than just dating. And it's a show where there are these experts in relationships who, behind the scenes, review applications from different people who say that they are looking for love and marriage. And the experts are matching people based upon objective, I guess, characteristics. So they consistently say, well, on paper, these two people should work out well and they should be able to build a lasting marriage and relationship. And so they're matched. And then once they are picked and matched, they meet each other at the wedding altar and they actually get married at first sight. And then the rest of the show is really about them or the couples navigating their relationship, navigating conflict. And then after a certain period of time, I feel like it's only like 4 weeks or so.
I think it is 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. Yeah.
After they get married at the altar, they then have what they call decision day. And that's where the couples decide if they want to stay married or get divorced. So, Nicki, I've been watching this show for a little while. I haven't watched it since the first season, but I've been watching it for a little while, but you haven't. So I want to have you tell us how you feel about it watching, and you went and watched the very first season. So tell me your thoughts about Married at First Sight.
Yes. So first I have to say, I watch some reality TV, but I've never been a huge reality TV watcher. But I do have some shows that I do really like. And so when we were talking about, what we were going to do for the podcast, and we talked about Married at First Sight, I said, "Oh, this is great. Okay, I haven't seen it, so this will be my first time seeing it." So I have to tell you, it is so fascinating. So I watched the first season, and people out there might say, "What is so fascinating about this?" And the truth is, there's so many themes and so many different concepts from human behavior that I can see in the show. And I have so many thoughts about it. The first season, the one that I watched, only had 3 couples. And so I felt like I could really focus in on 3 couples because I understand that the current season has more than 3 couples. And so, but I was blown away. I mean, first of all, what kind of person would be okay marrying a person that they just met?
Right.
Like, and when I say they just met, they're not even really meeting. They're just there for the ceremony. So it's not even like they say, "Hey, how's it going? And now let's get married." It's like, I do. And then they meet each other after the ceremony. And so it was just, so let me just say it was just fascinating.
So I think one of the things that I think is fascinating about the show is that a lot of it is questionable.
Yes.
And I say a lot of it is the main thing that's questionable for me and what stands out, because I'm watching the current season. Okay. I started watching it, I don't know, maybe it was around, and I'm looking at my list. I'm looking at a list of couples that are still married. And so I'm looking and seeing where I recognize, right? And so I feel like I started watching it when it was in Charlotte in 2019.
Okay.
I think that's when that was season 9. I think that's when I started watching it. But what would always, I guess, fascinate me is the applicants will say, "Okay, this is what I'm looking for," in a mate, in a husband or a wife or what, and the experts would then match them with someone who is the total opposite of what they said that they are looking for. And I'm just like, what is the expectation then to intentionally match someone with another person who differs from their baseline of what they want in a mate? And so to me, it just came off as very disingenuous. And after a few seasons of watching that play out, I just kind of got like, well, I don't really want to watch this anymore because
Yeah.
and to me, I felt like, the earlier seasons had more genuine people on the show who were genuinely looking for love. And then I felt like as the show became more and more popular, more and more people started applying. And there are rumors that like the shows similar to, Married at First Sight and shows that are similar actually recruit people by looking at their social media and saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, do you wanna be on this show?"
Right. Or going to, I did see that they do, or they have in the past gone to bars. And so they put it out there so that people can self-select, but they also go and recruit. And I do want to make a point though, because I've been reading, I have not watched any season other than the first, but I have been reading a bunch on the later seasons. And one of the things that I'll say is that I do feel that in the first season, I can see characteristics, like the couple seemed like, okay, there's some things that are similar about them, and I can see, okay, they might have a chance based on the similarities. But from what I understand in the later episodes, I think that the couples are not as aligned, which makes me wonder about, quote, what what qualifications do the experts have? Because I have read about some of the experts, but also what's really the goal? Is the goal really to help people find relationships, or is it to produce sensational TV or
Right,
sensationalized TV, right? And they've changed some things. So the first season, you had to be at least 25, and we know about brain development, 25. You also could not have previously been married, so they did not allow people who were divorced to be on the show. Now, I believe that you just have to be 18 and they do allow divorced people. So it seems like they've opened up the pool of applicants who could be on it, or the qualifications. They've changed the qualifications. And so I'm like, if you really want someone who is really serious about settling down and being married, it seems to me like you'd want older people and not
yeah.
your 19-year-old or your
Yeah,
20-year-old.
because are they even, like you said, your brain is still developing at that age.
Yeah.
So to me, it adds to the disingenuous nature of the show. And it just makes me not really want to watch it. Because when I started watching it, like I said, I think it was season 9, season 10, season 11, season 12. I mean, the couples that were on those shows to me were the majority of them were there for the right reasons. And it was always like maybe one or two. But now to me, it seems flip-flopped. Because when I was watching it, when they got to decision day, there were quite a few couples where like, oh man, I don't know what they're gonna say. And now it was either, oh yeah, they're gonna say yes, or oh man, I don't know what they're gonna say. They could go either way. But now it's like these people need to run. Like they need to actually
They need
run
to run. They need
from
to,
each other.
yes. And that's a good, you know what, Kimmy? The other thing is this. The show is not doing their due diligence and has
Right.
not done their due diligence, because there are people who have not disclosed about crimes. They ask them a lot about their financial situation, and so there's some folks who had some debts that they did not disclose. Which, you're getting married, those are some important things that you need to be knowledgeable of. One of the experts married one of the participants. I mean,
Mhm.
there have been some things, and there also, it's not, this show isn't just in the United States, it's also in other places. And I know that, I believe we were talking about like the United Kingdom.
Mhm.
uh, the show was pulled off of a station because of the sexual assault claims. And so I guess also it taps into if people are married and one partner does not want to be sexually active and the other person is like, well, we're married, you're going to do this, then that leaves. So there could be some issues surrounding that, especially if you haven't done your due diligence and you have people who have sexual assault or violence or battery or something, some types of claims already.
Mm-hmm. And to talk about the due diligence, I think it's important because to bring that up, because I think you have these people who are on these shows and it takes internet sleuths, internet investigators 2 minutes to find these people's social media imprint and find out this information. And you have a whole production team that's not identifying these particular people who have these pasts that could impact or just embarrass. There are a lot of contestants, and to be honest, generally it's usually like the women who are on the show, at least they present as if they really are looking for love and marriage, and it's their male counterparts or their matches that it seems clear that they really are not. And it's like, why are you even here kind of thing. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen the opposite way, but that's the majority. But the point that I'm trying to make, though, is a lot of these people who are on there for nefarious reasons, it takes internet sleuths, minutes to find that out. As soon as the show drops, like the episodes drop, you've got people coming out of the woodwork saying, wait a minute, I saw this person just posted that he was living or she was living with this other person 2 weeks before the show or 1 week before the show. And it's like, you're really not doing the necessary due diligence to not embarrass these people who really are on the show looking for love because they've had, and the common reason that most people give is that, hey, I haven't been choosing well. So maybe I do need somebody else to choose for me. And I can go through this experiment. And then I also want to talk about the intimacy. And so I'm watching the current season 20, and there's one couple, the wife, her name is Nicki, and she spells hers with 2 Ks.
She spelled.
So Nicki was like, yeah, I want my mate to be 6 feet and I want my mate to make this amount of money because she is doing really well financially and she just is attracted to, and the person that they matched her with was the exact opposite in those 2 very fundamental baseline requirements. And it's just like, you're just embarrassing this woman, right? And embarrassing him too, because this is the thing. So, the groom is always at the altar already, and then the bride walks down to meet her groom. And so she walks in, he's standing there, and I can't remember what they said. Somebody said something, and she was like, oh, well, where's my husband?
I'm surprised. Listen, I'm surprised they didn't put like a really tall groomsperson or someone besides the husband.
She's like, oh, that's my husband.
Oh, that's my person.
Right. No, and it's not. And it's like, and when you watch them, it's just very cringe. And then this guy, and then I want the intimacy piece, right? These people they don't know each other, right?
Yeah.
And this guy, he is like, like after they get married, they show video of them like meeting the family that came to the wedding. So they're interacting and talking. And then the bride and groom, they'll go off somewhere and talk and say, hey, what's your name or what's your last name or what, really, introducing themselves to each other. And this guy made like a 69 joke. What are you like? Oh, he's 69. And it's just like, sir. And she was like, excuse me? No, like I just met you. And that has been the theme. And that has been the theme in their coupling for this whole season is he's trying to get her to have sex with him like that. And as a matter of fact, he's a consistent gaslighter because they were having a conversation and he basically was like, yeah, I think as a wife, you have a duty to have sex with your husband, right? And so after that conversation, they were having another conversation about that. And he literally was like, I never said that was your wifely duty. I never said that. And it's just like,
everybody heard it, right?
You were recorded. Just because you didn't say wifely duty, you said duty of a wife. listen, let's not get into semantics here. And yeah, and it's just it's very cringy to watch their interactions. And I know that it's forced because now it's like she's like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm getting closer." And it's like, "Girl, no you're not.
It's
You
like
do
you're
not
just
like
counting
women."
down the seconds to decision day so you can
Exactly.
leave.
Or you can
Right,
say
right.
no.
And you know, I am so interested in the legal part, the contracts and everything that they have to sign,
Right.
because I wonder if they have penalties if they don't get married, because
Mhm.
the show is all about people getting married. So if they get to the altar and they say, I don't, is there a penalty? Because the production crew has already put out all of this
Feels like it.
money. Yeah. And I also wonder if they stop, because I know that there have been some couples that have said, look, I'm not doing this anymore. And they've left before the end of
Yep.
filming. So I
Mhm.
wonder about that. And because I do know that they have non-disclosure clauses, and especially for like their social media, they're not supposed to be posting things. So I wonder, like, what are all the legal things that they have to sign? And
That's what I wonder. And, and when I went to the website and it just generally, and I didn't want to go through the actual, because they have their separate application website, and you have to put your email in. So I didn't want to do all that.
yeah, yeah,
But, on the general information, it was like, yeah, you have to sign some paperwork, but they don't say what
what,
paperwork it is.
yeah,
Because when I'm looking at this current season, there are at least 4 couples where at least one of the people that's in that couple should be running. And they're not. And you can tell that they are really disgusted with the person that they were matched with.
uh-huh.
And
And
they are
then it
not
becomes
genuine.
it becomes you have to stay if there are financial penalties for leaving,
Mhm.
you know?
Exactly.
And so
Mhm.
I would just wanna know what are those things? Now I do know, and I do believe that I read this, that they do sign a prenuptial agreement so that if there is someone who is married and has a much larger income than the other one, then the other person is not entitled to that because,
Mhm.
hey, you're marrying a stranger. Um,
Mhm.
which brings me to another point about the income piece. So at the first season, it appears that people are working.
Mhm.
But and are they doing that in the previous season? Previous seasons?
You mean the current season?
Yeah. Yeah. Do they work? Do they actually go to their job and work?
I can't really tell. I think they are. I think that they are going to work in the current season, but it doesn't seem as often as prior seasons I've watched.
Yeah, because in this type of scenario, this is supposed to be a quote experiment. And I think we can talk about that. What it means to say this is an experiment, okay? And if they're going to work, which it seemed like they were doing, how do you control all of the external forces like their job? Because part of the thing that that they had, at least for the first season, is they weren't supposed to be getting information from social media about
Mhm.
the person. But if I'm going to my job and I have a computer,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just, so there's so many questions I have about the logistics of the show.
Yeah, and I think that to me it seems like there really isn't a way to prevent that from happening because they are people who have lives and they go to each other's real homes because after the honeymoon they have to go live together in this apartment. I know you were saying in season 1 they had to get the apartment
They
themselves.
actually went out and they got the apartment and they had a budget to get, they actually got the apartment and they went apartment hunting and
Yeah.
yeah.
That's interesting because whatever season I started, the show was providing the apartment. And this is the other thing too that to me makes it kind of salacious is that especially now with this current season, all of the couples stay in this and it looks like it's this one apartment building because all of their apartments look
No.
the same. They all look the same.
I did read something about that. So in the very first season, I think there was a push to keep the couples separate. Like
Mhm.
wherever they were living, they didn't. But I think now they have opportunities for the couples to meet because I believe that there were 2 couples that actually swapped partners. They actually broke up or something, but they were attracted to the other person.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I'm seeing that with this current season. Well, and they've created these opportunities for them all to get together and pretty much analyze each other's relationships.
Wow.
So now they have these group dinners, and I think so far, I think we're on episode 13, 12, 13, something like that. And they've had multiple couple dinners where they all get together in this big dinner and they're like, okay, so what's going on with you? Really? Well, I think, and we see, and you're doing this and you're not doing that. So they have these whole dinners that they have together. And it's clear, like, there's this one woman who clearly doesn't like her match. And I think the assumption is that she doesn't like him because he is one of those people who have been on other dating reality shows.
Oh.
And I think when she found that out, she just really had a nasty taste in her mouth, and she's just been nasty herself since then. And she makes comments, like she made a comment. There's this other guy who's 6'5", right? And he's attractive, and somebody else was calling him Ted Bundy. I think it's another podcaster that I watch and I listen to. She keeps referring to him as Ted Bundy. But the one woman told her matched husband, well, Adam is the most attractive in the group. And he was just kind of like, what? And she was like, well, come on. I'm not being serious. Ma'am, yes, you were. And it's obvious that she wished she was matched with this other dude. And so to me, once again, it adds to the salaciousness of the show to have them constantly in each other's business and how they each are relating to each other.
Yeah.
Once again, it just creates, I guess, good TV.
Ratings.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, season 1, the man just seemed very immature. He seemed like he just was not, he seemed like he wanted a relationship, but he wanted a lot of attention. He was very attention seeking. And he made a comment about his wife's dog. And I was just like, it's over.
A negative comment.
A negative comment about someone's animal that they love, that they've been with. I was just like,
What did he say?
He said something about this stupid dog, or it was something like that. So something negative about the dog that was kind of like that type of comment. And I was just like, it's all over. You could just tell he didn't like the dog. The first time he met the dog left, and then he was picking off hair off him. And I'm just like, oh, this is going to be a problem. Whereas the one couple that is still together, the dog saw the guy and the dog instantly went over to him and he was just like, oh, I was like, oh, that's going to be a plus for her.
Yeah.
Like he really seems to really like animals and really loves the dog. I mean, and so there are all these red flags that you see. And it's like, what do they have in place so that if someone's violent or, I mean, that's the extreme, but even these red flags, it seems to me the ethical piece would be to bring them together and say, hey, listen, it doesn't seem like this is working. Let's just terminate this.
Exactly.
Instead of making them stay.
Or not even match them to begin with.
Right.
What gets me is when they differ on fundamental things. Like they matched this one couple where the wife is religious and the husband is atheist.
Deal breaker. Deal breaker right there. That couple.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, I'm not going to say that there aren't couples out there where one person is very religious and one person is an atheist. I'm not going to say that they don't exist. However, this is such a bizarre situation that you are putting people in.
And jarring
and emotionally very intrusive. And you are going to put two people who have fundamentally different beliefs together to say, hey, you're going to be married now. Now you're married.
Right. It just doesn't make sense, right?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing, it seems that when they matched people at the very beginning seasons, they did not have interracial couples. And so it seems like after season 11, they have had some interracial couples. But I often wonder, because it seems to me that it would be statistically, if they were really just looking at people on paper and their beliefs and values and stuff, it seems to me that they would have ended up those first 10 seasons having
more
interracial couples.
Yeah.
So it seems like maybe race was one of those things that they said, okay, we're not going to have interracial couples or even same sex. Do they have same sex couples?
I don't think so. I don't think I've seen a season where they had same sex. I don't think.
It was just interesting because marriage is legal for same sex couples. So why don't
Yeah.
they have same sex couples?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Well, that is a very interesting question. And the point that you brought up about if you're looking at everything objectively, that you should. And I guess, and one other reality show where you see that actually play out is the Love is Blind show, because the contestants on that show actually are picking each other based on quote unquote objective standards. Objective meaning they're having conversations with each other first for a period of time and then choosing each other based on that. And so you end up with a lot more coupling, interracial coupling, in those instances. So that does, I think that's a great point. And I think because the experts are sort of creating the narrative, their biases, I think, get involved with making those match. Unless the people are saying, yeah, I only want to be with someone who looks like me or the same race as I am. I don't know. I don't ever remember hearing them say that as a part of, yeah, this person said that they want this, and this. I haven't heard them say that. But I think in the last couple of minutes that we have, I do want to talk about some of the couples that the show did create. I went online and it looks like there are 12 couples that are still married.
I think the first season had one. I believe that they are still together.
Yep, they are. Jamie Otis and Doug Henner. And my favorite couple is from the New Orleans season, Amani and Woody. I think the whole world fell in love with them.
Okay, I've definitely got to watch that season then.
Because, they had conflict and they worked through, and you really saw them work through their conflict. But I think what was evident was that they both were actually looking for love and they both were actually looking to be married. And they have like 2 kids now. And it was just really beautiful to see that play out. And then the very next season, I feel like Amani and Woody really inspired a lot of people. And then the next season was Brianna and Vincent. They're still married. They have a child. I feel like Brianna and Vincent had a little bit more conflict than Amani and Woody did. But Brianna and Vincent, once again, you could tell that what they were there for was love and marriage. And they really worked through the conflicts. And obviously they're still working because they are still married and they have a child together. So there have been some successes. And it's funny because with this current season, now people are calling the couples who are not toxic, they're calling them boring.
But see, that taps into another thing about reality TV. As a society, we are such voyeurs that if something looks too, quote, normal, then it's not exciting because the threshold has been moved, or the goalpost has been moved. We want to see, and not we, but just society really wants to see people just
the train wreck.
Yes, we want to see the train wreck.
Yeah. In this current season, there's 5 total couples, and there's only 1 couple who is not toxic. And they're saying that and people are saying that they're boring.
Really wish they would stop using the term experiment because that's how they're crafting this. Because experiment has very specific meaning. And you control a lot of the situations. And if you're doing an experiment ethically, you have ethical standards in place. You're thinking about a control group versus an experimental group. So there are lots of things with experiments. So I wish they would stop calling this an experiment and call it something else. Call it an opportunity to be on reality TV.
Because that's how people are approaching it, is an opportunity.
An opportunity. And but I will say, it was wonderful watching Doug and Jamie. It was really wonderful watching them because you could see their relationship shifting, and they had a time where Doug was not truthful with her and they worked through that. And so you were able to see them really use some really important skills and really develop. And I think that is the important piece. I think that in the later seasons, from what I've been reading, it's kind of like you put these 2 people together and let's just get our popcorn and see what happens.
Exactly.
And that's not healthy. And eventually Just like in the UK where they've had these sexual assault claims, and you don't want that to happen. You don't want to put people at risk.
And in this current season, there's been a heavy focus on intimacy, whether it's holding hands, kissing, and then of course having sex. And there are a lot of men on the show who are just where you can just tell that that's what they're kind of all about. And it's just like, listen, you guys just met. And so there's one couple where they did have sex, and right after they had sex, she slept on the couch.
Oh,
Like she had this visceral reaction
wow.
to having sex and ended up sleeping on the couch. And, she was like, oh, it wasn't him or anything. She was just like, I really do think I had sex too soon. And she felt like she couldn't even stay in the same room with him. And I feel like there has been this focus on that intimacy, and it's not happening organically with
Yeah.
the couples. So for some couples, I guess it is because, they're saying, yeah, well, we were really attracted to each other and that this is what we decided to do. That's fine. They're all adults. But it's just, the couples where they're not having sex, it's clear that at least one of the partners is just kind of like, okay, well,
What time?
TikTok.
You need when is this gonna happen? Yeah.
Yeah, you're my wife, and like they're focusing on this idea that the person is the spouse, and that
Mhm.
because they are spouses in contract, that just automatically means that they are going to be spouses in that intimate sense. And it's just like, no, we really still are strangers, right? And so,
Exactly. Exactly. And
yeah.
if couples feel that they want to have sex when they first meet, as long as
Mhm,
people are consenting, and
mhm,
you made that decision, that's fine. I think that when they have the extra layer of the pressure of somebody saying, "We are married,"
yeah.
you know,
And this
then
comes along with it. This is just
yeah,
automatic.
yeah. And yeah, so that to me just seems a little, I don't know, that seems a little coercive to people, but at the same time, we
Exactly.
also have to realize that people are signing up for this. You
Yeah.
They're
Mhm,
signing up for this experience.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
um,
Okay.
but I do think I will watch a couple more seasons just because
Mhm.
I'm so fascinated.
Well,
Uh,
definitely watch season 11 with Amani and Woody. The Charlotte one I think was good. That was season 9. So season 9, season 11, and season 12.
okay,
I
I'm
think
gonna have to
after
look that
season
up.
12 is when I stopped watching it, I
So
believe.
9, 11, and 12. Okay. But
Okay,
what?
Nikki. Hmm.
Before we leave,
Okay.
and we did not ask this the last time, but we heard something about MIA, Mitch
Uh-huh. Mitch
McConnell. We
McConnell.
heard that he was released from the hospital.
But wait,
And I still haven't seen any pictures or neighbors commenting, or I haven't seen anything. It's just like there was this one little blurb that said, "I am out of the hospital."
so the question remains, where is Mitch McConnell?
Where is Mitch McConnell?
That's
Where is
ridiculous.
Mitch McConnell?
Yeah.
And like I said, we don't need to know all about his intimate medical details. We
Mhm.
just want to know, is he
Competent.
okay? Is he competent? Can he still uphold the requirements of his employment?
Mhm. Exactly.
And that is something that any employer would ask and want to
Exactly.
know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the question remains. We'll keep
Where
asking
is
until we
Mitch
get an
McConnell?
answer.
Yes, we will be back. So if you all know where Mitch
Let
McConnell is,
us know.
please drop us a line. Let us know because we really want to know. We really
Yeah,
want to know.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And also go ahead and stay hydrated, moisturized, and unbothered. We always
absolutely.
want you all to do that.
And
And
make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We really, really, really want to build our base because we really enjoy doing this. And we really want to know what you all think about our episodes. So please, let us know. We have some previous episodes. So please, if you like this episode, go back and listen and watch our other episodes. We are on lots of different mediums now. So please check us out.
YouTube, Spotify, and
Oh,
Apple Podcasts.
yes,
All
absolutely.
right. Well,
Yep.
until next time, bye.
Bye.
So we want to get deep with you. Make sure you hit the like and the subscribe buttons. See you soon.